very valuable to us. So we will have a closed loop system. Every drip, every little bit of water that comes off of those plants, we are going to recycle, put through a loop system. Once we treat our water through different processes, we have a reverse osmosis, we're using ozone, we're using different types of filtrations. We cannot afford to lose any of our feed in our water, and we cannot afford to lose any of our water, because that's going to be a very expensive process. These systems that you're looking at here are very expensive, and this is probably the most important one right here. And this is what everybody's concerned about. What are you going to do with the excess runoff water? The zero liquid discharge is a process that we basically take any water once we ran it through the system so many times that we have to now do something with it. We run it through the zero liquid discharge system, which is a type of brine separator, all in-house. It'll give us basically, at the very end result, it gives us a type of byproduct, which is really the fertilizer that we originally put into the plant, or the nutrient value from the very beginning. So the actual byproduct at the very end is what we put into it in the first place. And we reprocess that water again. These systems are very expensive. We cannot skip a beat on where they go, how we put it into the actual program. But basically, we're not going to have a pipe going out to the ditch, and any excess water is just going to go into our runoff. We want to capture and recycle as much water. Do you have a question about that?
Well, I'm just saying, we're talking agricultural right here. It says this is an industrial plant with a discharge of water wastes. This is not agriculture like these people are claiming. We all know that.
Leamington, with all their vegetable production.
You could grow that stuff on the moon if you got a greenhouse.
Pardon?
You could grow that stuff on the moon if you got a greenhouse.
Yes.
It's not agricultural, in my opinion. In my opinion, I know it's not.
Actually, there's no oxygen on the moon, so I don't think that's
Well, you know, if you got a greenhouse and it's contained, you could put oxygen in just like you put the lights in.
All that we are trying to do is
I can grow cucumbers up there too.
Exactly.
is basically demonstrate
You don't need
that.
ground. You don't need agriculture. Sorry.
Does anybody
What
have
about,
any questions?
there's an 8-inch water line on Manning Road and a 3-inch water line on the side road. So what, in a drought, what are you gonna do?
We
You have storage tanks?
we basically are going to capture as much of our rainwater as possible, and if we run into a situation where we have a drought for 6 months, and because of the line coming into our facility, and you know as well out in Leamington, we're all restricted on how much volume that we can pull. We will, if we have to, we will truck our own water in. But just by the volumes of water and through the actual calculations, we will have more water than what we can actually, store. And if you go to any of the, or even your eaves troughs in the morning after a cool night, warm day, cool night, and you put a cup underneath your eaves trough, you'll fill that cup just with a drip. Well, when you factor in the size of the building, it's very important for us to capture all of that water, put it through our system of treatment, and use it over and over. So basically, with this whole process of our water recovery, our water filtration, and not discharging to any of the local ditches is very important for us as well. Leamington and all the vegetable people at this point are starting to have too many problems with the amount of phosphorus and things going into the environment. So we are all scrutinized from the agricultural standpoint of any runoff of any nutrient value at all. And so far, working with an independent on this process, it's been a long, intense, and a lot of work to think everything out first.
Is your water line hooked through the 3-inch line or the 6-inch line?
That's still up for the water department to decide.
Well, it's gotta be, you gotta have that water there now.
And we can
Yeah.
truck water in if need be.
That's not what I mean. If you're gonna have a water line, there's gotta be a water line in that building already.
So where does it come from?
Oh, it's very, there's very small water line in there. And even
I
that
have,
water
I
line
have
is-
an acre of greenhouses at my place. I have a 3/4 inch line coming into my facility. And I run my whole 1 acre facility off of a 200 amp single phase service. And I don't have half the technology.
But you don't have, the water line's not hooked up to the building yet then. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry?
The water line's not hooked up to that building yet?
It's the existing water line that was normally installed on the property back when the property was developed.
Yeah.
And that water line that's there is more than sufficient.
That had to
No,
be
but if we
probably a
have
1-inch
to-
water line coming in off the side road.
If we have to upgrade it, it's
We
actually a
have to
benefit
get
for the
the
residents
water
because we don't have to upgrade our line. We have to
You're
upgrade the entire
talking
grid line.
a lot of-
You're talking millions of dollars of water upgrade.
That's not what I mean. The water line coming down Manning Road
This is,
is a 6-inch line.
Yeah, and it's more than
The
sufficient.
water line coming down the side road's only a 3-inch line loop.
We have
Are
to.
you guys hooked into the
get
3-inch line or the
everything-
6-inch
I-
line?
I've been working on this with a.
I personally don't know.
So we can get
That would be a
it
question for
down,
the water
get it in
department, they'd be
place.
more than happy to
This,
share that
this
with
was my.
That's
biggest
what I'm
concern
asking. Do you
from
guys
the
still
very
have to hook up another water line or are you using
No,
an existing
as of right
water
now,
line?
no, we do not.
This was my first project.
It's
was
more than, the current water
any
system is more than
discharge
sufficient to
whatsoever.
support our needs.
Which is the future.
The other
anyways,
property, the
but-
Peterman
and
property
then
down
this-
the road,
this was
it's,
just as
it's hooked into the
important.
3-inch water line. Do you anticipate any large water usage? in
None
that property?
whatsoever,
at all.
none whatsoever.
This
You're
technology
maybe a
is
couple
back
gallons a
in.
day. Nothing,
But
nothing
the,
significant.
but the biggest problem with the rain